everybody, Max Scoville here. We are at Gamescom 2023, and I'm with my esteemed colleague, Alex Simmons, who just got a chance to play RoboCop Rogue City. What did you make of it? It's a RoboCop game, but is it fun?
Slow is the main thing. Like, RoboCop is super methodical in how he moves. He doesn't run about like you would normally do in a shooter. He doesn't really use cover like you would normally do in a shooter. He's a bullet sponge that just walks into the middle of the firefight, gets shot from every direction, but equally, he's RoboCop, so he dishes out loads of death, I guess.
It seemed, I got to watch you play a bit, it seemed good on a lot of levels, but I do have some questions and some hesitation. He's got his iconic sidearm, which is an awesome gun. Can you use other guns?
So you can. Like, the Auto 9 is his main weapon, and you can upgrade it a lot to have armor piercing, explosives, etc. But you can pick up grenade launchers, and you can pick up other weapons, but frankly, I didn't have to. Like, we played a new level of the game, which is very much combat focused. It's about a third of the way into the game, and throughout 15 minutes, I think I died once. And that was my own mistake because I forgot to pick up a battery, which is a health pack in the game. And so it's almost like RoboCop is invincible. And if you've got this great gun, why do you need a grenade launcher?
Yeah, it's sort of I don't know, it's a little bit of a quandary there. Now, something that strikes me as interesting is this is also adding some like crime-solving elements, some puzzle elements, some branching narrative elements. Can you talk about those a little bit?
So they hinted at it, but they've not really shown exactly what it means. There's one part in this level where you find a perpetrator and you give them a choice. You can either show your empathy side, your human side, and let them off with a caution, or you can be RoboCop, give them a ticket. Now, the dev has hinted that that has much bigger implications later in the game, to the point where it affects endgame. But for me, all I saw was somebody being just a little bit hacked off with me, a few swear words, and off they went.
Now, this is the same studio that did Terminator Resistance, which, again, was a thing that could have probably just been a straightforward shooter, but it had a bunch of surprising ambitious RPG elements.
Yeah.
That had romance options, very, very sexy ones. A lot of people don't even know that. I feel like they're kind of taking a similar approach here. There was a whole bomb defusal sequence, which was felt like almost a Resident Evil puzzle. It's
super simple. It is like, which wire is the one to cut before it blows your face off. And again, they've hinted that there's way more stuff like that. This was combat, and there's going to be a lot more investigation. RoboCop's not really known for his investigation. It's dead or alive, you're coming with me. But apparently he does go out there, he looks for clues, evidence. I've not seen any of that, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. No, it's sort of quizzical. This game is supposedly coming out very, very soon, so I'm skeptical, but kind of curious at the same time. It's also an Unreal 5 game. It's one of the first sort of wave of, more advanced, more polished games to come out. What was your takeaway on sort of the technical side of it?
So it looks gorgeous, and obviously RoboCop himself is super pristine. You can't fault that side of it at all. Even when he's going through the mission and he's shooting stuff, the destruction looks great. It's got that 80s jank, and I don't know if that's on purpose or whether it's just how the game is developed, but it feels authentic. Because the dialogue, even that, is super cheesy.
There was one instance where you shot a guy in the crotch and his animation falling over was like excessively drawn out, and I was like, that's some Verhoeven stuff right there. That's spot on.
Well, I would buy that for $1.
Yeah, I would buy that for $1. I was really impressed. Also, the destruction physics were really cool. Like everything was just getting blown apart. Like just a ton of that.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing. Obviously, you've got your Auto 9, but you can use anything that you come up in against the game. In this one level, there were these bikers that were attacking me, moving super fast, hard to shoot. But being RoboCop, you can just pick up like a dustbin, throw it at them, knock it off their bike, and then when they're off, you can then pick up the bike and then throw the bikes at the bikes.
That's the part that got me kind of interested. Because I think it's RoboCop has his strengths, literally and otherwise, and his weaknesses. And again, the sort of the plotting approach is it's tank controls. Like he is kind of tanky, and it's. Now they mentioned, I think you can pick up other weapons. You mentioned the grenade launcher.
Yeah.
I feel like he does get the big 50 cal sniper rifle at some point in the movies, right? And
yes. And then at one point you do fight the guys that have got that. There was one bit where you go into a room where there are snipers, grenade launchers, and people with massive machine guns. You can go and pick them up, and you can use them if you want. But again, the Auto 9 was so powerful. I was like, hey, I'll just stick with this.
It's interesting. I'm curious to see where this goes exactly. Did they talk about lore at all, like where it takes place in the timeline?
So it takes place directly after RoboCop 2 and before 3. In terms of story, all we know so far is that obviously Rogue City is overthrown by these street vultures, which is this gang. And obviously there is this friction between OCP and RoboCop. Like, you go up against OCP in a lot of the levels, and if you do well, you get bonus points to go towards XP. If you don't, well, you're just going to be lowly Robo.
Interesting. Now, there's one mechanic that I thought was very, very authentic, where he could bust through walls and do sort of a breach mechanic.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Did that feel good? That's one of those ones you kind of need to do it yourself.
Of course, but it's exactly like, I guess it's the same thing that you would see in Call of Duty. You bust through a wall, everything goes into slow motion, you pop out the pistol, and then headshots all around. Yeah, it feels great. And I'd like to see more of that. I think that ultimately that was my takeaway. I kind of like what I've seen so far, or it's got me interested, but I want to see all the other stuff that's being spoken about. I want to see the investigation side. I want to see the differences that those choices make. And hopefully that will be in the next thing that we see.
Yeah, well, one way or the other, RoboCop Rogue City is coming out sooner than later, which is kind of shocking. Would you buy it for $1? We'll kind of have to wait and see, but we've got lots more coverage coming out of Gamescom, so stick around.